So a quick TLDR of the story since I didn't post the first part in 3.0, and also if you're new and still have not played the story quest. For those who are new, I'm Sean and I'll be playing the story quest for Genshin along with other games that, are very interesting. As for now, we'll be focusing on Genshin and how the story quest is going so far. So here's what's happening with the Traveler in 3.0. Also, if it wasn't obvious, spoilers ahead. You've been warned. Anyways, let's continue. The traveler who had found his way to Nisuma had struck conflict with a god who worked diligently to rid the nation of people's ambitions and to keep her nation in an eternal stasis. A land where no one is allowed to pursue their dream, a land where the people's own powers, a blessing from the god, is now taken away, a land with no vision. Such a god who would do such a thing would be the Raiden Shogun, the god of eternity. The Shogun's actions didn't sit too well with everyone, and sooner or later, the war between the Shogun and her people pursued. A war that brought many deaths, but also newfound alliances for the Traveler. The Traveler, after much avail from his comrade, has now settled issues of people and their god in a nation that he isn't even a part of. More or less, his kind gesture had begun the healing process of this nation. After mending such a relationship, he was finally told by Amigo, the Shogun's fox familiar, that his quest to find his sister and other questions he held would probably be better answered in the land of knowledge, Sumeru. When the traveler arrives in Sumeru, he is greeted by this beautiful scenery of luscious flora and fauna. The traveler, while looking around, notices a woman walking away into a cave where she proceeds to sit and meditate. As the traveler approaches, the scent from the lady's pot seeped into his nose, and as soon as the scent hit, a mental fatigue followed, and soon after he was sent into a dreamlike trance where he is greeted by the sight of a giant tree. He later wakes from this trance to be greeted by a lovely green-haired girl named Kale, who speaks with a kind and caring voice. Accompanying her is a knowledgeable foxman, Tainari, who speaks with such understanding of all his subjects when asked. The two help the traveler in getting accustomed to the new area and were given valuable information on Sumeru. So Tainari gave the traveler valuable information about the withering. The withering is referred to as a form of tumor within the earth that causes decay. After learning this, the traveler later returns to the lady from who he had met earlier. During their second encounter, the traveler proceeds to go into another trance, and this time he encounters a servant of the Abyss called the Abyss Herald. Before a fight could break out, he awakes again from his dream. She converses with the lady and finds out that the people of Sumeru don't actually dream unless you're a child. They found that dreams were unnecessary, and the people of Sumeru have stopped dreaming as soon as they've grown into a full adult. The traveler and Paimon return to camp where they encounter members of the Academia for the first time. Academia is a collection of people who work in pursuit of knowledge in all its forms. The members of the Academia have come to recruit Tainari to be part of their research team. However, they were not successful and they had to return to Sumeru City empty-handed. Sumeru City was the main city of Sumeru, and it was where the Academia was located. The traveler continues in his pursuit and travels to Sumeru City. Upon reaching the city gates, he was given an item called the Akasha Terminal. The Akasha Terminal is a unique piece of Sumeru technology invented by the Academia. It takes the shape of an earpiece. It is capable of granting the user any sort of knowledge they desire to know or have, as long as they have the required credentials, as the traveler would soon come to know when asking about the Dendro Archon. Although vast in knowledge, the Akasha Terminal seems to censor some sorts of information it does not want its users to know. While in the city, he meets this red-haired girl named Nailu. She seemed to enjoy the fine arts unlike her counterparts, who dismiss her ideals to the fact that pursuing such ideas, such as fine arts, according during the academia are frivolous and meaningless activities in the land of knowledge and reason. Traveler also meets an earnest lady named Dunersod, and along with her bodyguard Dea. They all share the same ideals and hope to celebrate the birth of the Dendro god in the Subceres festival, where Nailu would be able to perform her Subceres dance. In Sumeru, knowledge is a resource and it is passed through the terminals in a system called the Akasha system. The Akasha system was developed by the Greater Lord Rugadavada by using her gnosis and was later built upon by the Academy. Greater Lord Rugadavada was the original Dendro god of Sumeru, but unfortunately she passed away 500 years ago. The Academia, while looking over their now godless nation, had gone out in search for a new god in the deserts of Sumeru, and in their search they found a new and young god, Lesser Lord Kusanali. Like her successor, Greater Lord Rugadavada, she also held the God of Wisdom title. The traveler continues in his exploration of the region of Sumeru, where he comes upon this community of people who reign from the desert region of Sumeru called the Emirites. The Emirites consist of mercenaries and traders. The traveler overhears the Emirites boasting about their god, the true god of Sumeru, the Scarlet King whom they seem to follow. The traveler, still trying to figure out more information on the land, asks about the Scarlet King, which in turn almost got him robbed, but he is eventually saved by a man named Al-Haytham. Al-Haytham was a member of the Academia and, like the traveler, is seeking more knowledge. He soon recruits the traveler to help him find a specific item called a knowledge capsule. Knowledge capsules are storage for certain information that are not censored or regulated by the Akasha system. In this case, the two are looking to collect the Divine Knowledge Capsule, which supposedly held the knowledge of the god. They needed to acquire the item from a charismatic merchant named Dory. The merchant, however, blacklisted Al-Haytham, so he recruited the traveler to help with. And through a lot of mora and sweet talk, they were able to get Dory to tell him the location of the Divine Capsule. She states she lost her bid on the item to the worshippers of the Scarlet King. The two plan on meeting with the leaders of the Emirites, which were the worshippers of the Scarlet King. At the day of the meeting between the two parties, the leader of the Emirites absorbed the knowledge from the capsule through the Akasha. Before being able to comprehend the knowledge he just acquired, it sent him into a zombie-like state, attacking both foe and allies. Only in severing his connection through the Akasha was he able to exit the state. As he was carried away, all he could say in his current state was, as his body was being dragged away, Al-Haytham was able to snatch the Divine Capsule off of his body, ultimately acquiring it in the end. After his adventures with Al-Haytham, the traveler returns back to Sumeru City and was greeted by Dunersod. She excitedly brings them to the festival areas to dine and enjoy the activities, after which they proceeded to where Nailu was supposed to hold the Dance of the Subceres. However, as soon as they arrived, they realized that the Academia had got there first and that they had harshly scolded Nailu for doing such a thing, as it is shameful to show interest in the art in the land of knowledge and reason. Eventually, the leaders of the Academia shut down the event, leaving everyone devastated and returning home for the night. Along their way back, they encounter a group of mercenaries who looked to harm them, specifically Dunersod. Thankfully, Dea and the traveler stepped in to save the day. Before laying down for the night, the traveler hears a weird voice, like a set of instructions. As soon as he closes his eyes, he does not dream, and he awakes immediately. The traveler, upon waking, meets with Dunersod again, who looks a little tired. She continues to explain her excitement about Nailu's dance. The traveler goes along, and they have the same day, the same argument from the Academia to Nailu, and the same attack. Traveler gets home, just a little weirded out, and lays down to hear the same voices again. And as he wakes up, he lives through the same events, living through the same day, with the only changing thing being Dunersod looking weaker and weaker each day. The traveler tries to exit the city but wasn't able to. In these frustrations, he feels at loss. He then sees a girl who vanishes and then reappears in front of him. He runs towards the medical bay where the girl seems to be running and see a now sickened Dunersod appear in front of him. He also sees the girl and she explained that her name was Nahida. The traveler had never seen the girl, yet she states meeting him there on multiple occasions. She also states that he seems not to be able to remember. The traveler soon realizes that they're in a confusing, constant loop that keeps rewriting their memories as if it never happened. With the help of Dea, the traveler, and Nahida, the group were able to figure out that the loop that they were in was actually a reoccurring dream. Their victory was however short-lived when they found the now weakened Dunersod has started to disappear. Dunersod was eventually faded away and was replaced by an empty shell of emotion that had her memories but not her soul. This was due to the fact that the dream still had to to fill her in, but it didn't need the actual junior sword in it anymore. Nahida had to also retreat, and she wishes the traveler luck and state that she is no longer able to help, for she needs to be somewhere of much more importance. Devastated traveler continues his search. Search eventually led him back to Nailu, who still had the same arguments with the same people from the academia. He realizes that in order to break out of the dream, he needs to do something that breaks the loop. He realizes that the dream belonged to Nailu, a dream to dance that kept repeating it over and over but never being fulfilled. He tells Nailu all the information, which seemed to have gone well, for Nailu looked around and notices all the extinct flowers around her which she wishes to see. After realizing that it was her dream and that she needed to break it, she began her Subceres dance, a dance of all dances, a dance to break the loop. Epic poetic finale, she performs her dance to which the souls of the people of the city dance and cheer before finally waking up. The traveler, upon waking up, removes his Akasha terminal and searches for Junior Sword. To his surprise, she was alive and well. He comes to learn that Nahida had to leave the dream world and possess a synthetic body to save Junior Sword. She also reveals to the traveler that she is indeed Lesser Lord Kusanali, the Dendro god, and the god of wisdom. The traveler was not surprised, as a girl with such amazing capabilities could only be but a god. The Dendro Archon explains her physical body is locked away and she can only traverse through people's dream. She only possesses the mind of a singular synthetic human, and she respects her people too much to take controls of their mind to break free. The traveler, now with new knowledge, continues to traverse the land of Sumeru. Don't hate me for pronouncing some of these names wrong, I really suck at pronunciations. But also, one thing, don't forget the phrase, "the world forget me." It repeats through the story a lot. And with that, we end the chapter A More Than 1,000 Roses Bring and move on to the next. So I'll see you guys then.